Going
Yeah, we're still
fantastic.
alive. I think we made it.
Yeah, we're still
I,
we're still alive. We're still alive.
I remember to unmute myself this time. Great.
I was worried about Lux because I was like, I hope he gets it
Yeah, I
right.
still don't know what that happened. Like it just stopped working. I'm like, I didn't touch anything. I restart Discord and it's fine. So we're in there now.
Yeah,
I mean,
Chilling
it-
like a villain.
yeah.
it was turn it back on, turn it back on, or turn it off, turn it back on. Sometimes that's the only answer. Sometimes.
Smack it.
Anyways,
a couple
what's our
times,
next
blow on
topic?
The underside.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, we do have a website now for SoCal in general. SoCal has so many locals. S2H, a really good friend of mine and a player whose reputation kind of precedes him. He even put it out on Twitter. There's 45 locals all together in a week in SoCal. And this is counting the ones that he could find. There are probably a few that aren't even advertised on Smash.gg or in general, but there are 45 locals. And we now have a website, thanks to Micah for creating that website. And it's even a great tool for us commentators or any commentator looking to come to SoCal and see what's up. But what's up with all the locals, man? I mean, it's one of those deals where there's just so many of them. And I think Zan, if you guys know Zan, from SoCal, he used to be part of PG Stats.
Do you mean the
crew.
Cookie Slayer?
The Cookie Slayer. He used to be part of
The
TG
Cookie
Stats.
Slayer.
He was also part of the SoCal community as well. He's done PR and a lot of things. He posted a tweet that says, there's a lot of problems I think SoCal has right now that's annoying and stems from oversaturation that people don't realize. My biggest gripe is that I barely feel any sense of community here outside my friend group. And because that, in my opinion, SoCal region pride as a whole is very weak. And he thinks that contributes to possibly the fact that there's one too many locals. Gemsteady even commented after like perhaps we need to go back to sanctioning. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about what's up with all the locals and why there's so many. Should we keep having so many? Sanction or not sanction? I don't know, man. It's just a huge topic.
Yeah. Well, I guess to start off, like, you bring up the sanctioning thing. For those of you that don't know, like, having a sanctioned tournament in SoCal means it meets the requirements, which is usually that it exists on Smash GG, that there is a stream, and I think that might be like the only two things.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they are, it's at least those two things, and that
I think it's over like 15 entrants too, something like that.
Okay,
Something
there
small.
you go.
Yeah.
There's an entry barrier as well, but that will qualify your tournament to be eligible for PR. So anything that, any wins that you get in an event that's sanctioned will count towards the power ranking, the future power rankings. So I guess the question is, like, should we change the sanctioning requirements to make less tournaments? Because as it stands, I believe there's a lot of tournaments, if not most of them are sanctioned. So do we tighten those requirements so that there are less sanctioned tournaments so that people will want to go to those sanctioned tournaments, and that more attendees go to that?
Yeah.
It could be a solution. It also could not, because I feel like a lot of these tournaments aren't even running their tournaments for the fact of it being sanctioned. They want to run Smash tournaments because that's what's hot right now. That's like where they see the money. If a local venue, a local card shop or whatever has space to run, a 15-man local like every Tuesday, like
They're gonna do it.
You could take the way they're sanctioning. You could boost up the requirement. Like, okay, 30 has to be 30 entrants to be sanctioned. Like they're gonna keep running that tournament. On the other side, maybe some of those people who did go to those other tournaments will now start saying, like, it will bolster like the MSMs and the hats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To get more attendees, because it's like, okay, well, those are the sanctioned tournaments. I care about being on the PR. I'm gonna go to the sanctioned tournament as opposed to this like free local that I win like $10 every week at. That's like 5 minutes from my house. I don't know. It could be a double-edged sword. Like I would say that's probably like the only like viable solution there is. I don't even really know like what else we could do to solve the problem of saturation, which is that they're like on any given day there's like at least 5 locals. I actually want to read a tweet from another SoCal player Slither 2 Hunter, that's S2H, who is I think number 20 on our PR.
Yeah.
And he also tweeted on May 29th. He said Monday MSM +2, and this +2 meaning 2 other locals. Tuesday there's Hat plus 5 other locals. Wednesday WNF plus 5 other locals. Thursday Fad plus 7 other locals. Friday 9 random locals. Saturdays are 2 GG whatever's the monthlies. 6 other locals. Sundays are 5 random locals. In any given week we have like almost 50 locals, which is absurd. And obviously, a lot of these running concurrently means that the number of attendance drops from other, because the attendance will be split amongst all the events. So how do we solve that?
But
And I mean, that's one of the solutions is like we adjust the sanctioning requirements, but how much is that actually going to fix things?
Yeah.
I'm almost of the opinion that it might end up, for better or for worse. Let's say we're very libertarian about it and don't actually make any sort of policy change as a community to try to, counteract this phenomenon. What'll end up happening is all these tournaments that have popped up across the area will have such poor attendance that they'll naturally fold themselves out.
Sure.
Of course, that'll be at the detriment of, every other tournament that's being run simultaneously. But I don't know if there's necessarily some sort of onus of pressure on the community at large to necessarily get rid of them. Just because, on one hand, there is that tragedy of the commons aspect of it where there is, potentially the issue of the oversaturating causing less attendees, which contributes towards tournaments dying or our players not being as good because they're not competing against each other. But on the flip side, we of course don't also want to gatekeep, and
Yeah.
more tournaments means that there are more individuals. Like the fact that SoCal has 50 tournaments, that's more attendee. Like we have more tournaments than some local scenes have actual players.
Yeah,
like
and
in the grand scheme of things.
And sometimes our locals have more entrants than
Right.
a region's monthly.
Right.
Like that kind of deal.
So it's a fine balance. You don't want to gatekeep, but at the same and I think it'll end up working itself out on some level. But sanctioning is a good way to go about hastening that going about it. But at the same time, we kind of have to maybe take a step back and think. Some of these tournaments have their role, like some of them being first step for a player to get into the competitive scene.
Yeah.
It's like I'd rather have that person in the scene than not in the scene. Just truth be told.
Sure.
But and especially with Ultimate being fairly new and the summer coming along, I think it might be a bit reactionary to throw the ban hammer at this overabundance of tournaments. But but if we're on the other side of it, where the tournament scene is dying,
Mm-hmm.
and we aren't getting a full of new players coming in, and Smash Ultimate's been out for 4 years, and I might be singing a different tune down the line. So I'll hold on and reserve the right to change that up. Give me 3 years on that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty hard to tell someone, hey, you don't try and make money. Like hosting a tournament from the TOs I've talked to, usually like half the venue fee goes to the venue itself, whether it be like the shop or like a bar or wherever it is, and then the other half goes to the TO so that they can potentially keep doing it. It's kind of hard to tell them that, and then also I don't know. At the same time, it's like if the TO complains that there's like no one attending their local, then I mean I don't know what he expects, because like there's 6 other things that people could go to, so. But I think a reason why so many locals do show up in our scene is that while SoCal does have like so many players and so many resources, sometimes in general, depending on how old the person is and stuff like that, then it's like sometimes it's just not accessible for people. Like we got to think about all of the MSM locals. Let's see, 3 of them are like, well, I'm trying to think of a left to right highway that it's below. But like Wednesday Night Fight, Nimbus, and MSM, they're all beneath LA. Let's just say that they're all beneath LA.
Yeah.
Whereas and then they have one hat which is above LA. But then we got to consider, okay, I'm a guy who lives in A18. How long it takes me to get to MSM? 2 or 1.5 hours. 1 hour and 10 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that I have a card, but like
For everyone else
like
who doesn't.
15-year-old, Yeah, imagine a 15-year-old kid saying, "Hey, mom, can you take me to this tournament?" Sure. Where is it? Oh, it's like 2 hours down from us. It's like, okay, well, whose parents gonna take them there for a tournament, and then they have to
Shout
drive all
outs,
the way back up,
shout
and then
outs to
drive all the way back down, see them again.
shout outs to
So
Dynamo's mom when he used to go to locals, because she like drove him like almost to like when he wanted to go MSM WNF, she would take him. Zambrini's mom too. If you guys are wondering like who are those players, Dynamo used to be PR'd in SoCal, so his mom would actually. But shout outs to those moms who do that. Just saying that in general.
But I think Lux does have a point though. How like the tournaments will eventually dwindle down. Some of them will stay, and some of them won't. I think obviously 2GG tournaments are here to stay, and for that reason, that's usually why I go to those ones. But I think for the most part, like yeah, we gotta consider that we're still in the beginning of our scene. So all these people are like, oh, that's the new hot ticket scene. Run tournaments, I'd run Smash Ultimate, and then let's make a quick buck or whatever. Obviously, sometimes that's not the actual intention, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's the beginning of the scene. We're not even done with the first year, so we got to think about who's gonna stay there. I think in the long run.
For me, I was able to do some research on my own. I went out to World 8 on Thursday. You know, people are like, oh, you should go to Fire and Dice because you know I'm A18. I was known for a commentator that came from Fire and Dice, but I wanted to go see where all the new kids are going, and it seems to be World 8. And it's a great local. I'm not gonna lie. It's a great local. It's literally a video game store. So this video game store runs a local. It is a little bit small to my liking personally. But the one thing that I did like about this local that I can tell you guys from my field report, as I would say, is there's a big sense of community and a big sense of pride coming from that local. And it's something that I have to attribute to a player like Master Mario. I think when Master Mario first came out, everybody considered him nothing short of a meme. Like nobody took this guy seriously. He was like, in my opinion, he was the poor top player. He was really good, no big wins, but he was really good. He was winning FD every single week. Like every single week it was Master Mario, Master Mario, Master Mario. And every now and then Mexican would show up with his icon and win. But that was the thing. He came from that local, and that local had its own pride. And that pride came to Fire and Dice, and Master Mario started getting bigger, better, to the point that he is now our PR, and he's even now renowned as one of the best Marios out there. And that's kind of what happens with some of these locals. I think these locals do take a lot of pride, and a lot of people who go there, it becomes a homie vibe. You know, it's like going to your friend's garage and playing video games for hours. From what I felt at World 8, everybody was rubbing shoulders, having a good time, playing friendlies. You know, the TOs were all cool. Everybody was having a good time, and everybody was looking to level up. A lot of the USC kids and UCLA kids also show up there. And it just creates more of what we want to see: growth and continued care towards the community. The local ran pretty well. It's got a stream and all those deals. But I do understand, like, everybody wants a slice of the esports pie. That's what we're kind of reaching about. Like, everybody wants a slice of the esports pie. Like you said, if you're a card shop, a board shop, a game shop, like, it makes sense for you to try to run a local, because that brings continued business to your store. And not only are you giving away a local, but you're giving away like the opportunity for a player to buy a controller, a game, anything like that. The problem is like, if we don't sanction tournaments, what's gonna happen to Jimmy O2, who always wins, you know, a local? Is he gonna get better, or is he just gonna keep winning a local? The problem that I feel that seems to be a little bit bigger here is the sharking issue. Some people just shark because, like, I think Charlie mentioned it on his Twitter, that like he thinks people just shark for the money and they could give a damn about, you know, actually getting better and about the scene. They just see it as like local with 25 entrants, free money right there, because no other PR player is going, so I'm gonna go to this local just to get the money. But they don't get better, and then they might cry when they go 2-2 at a major. You know, I think that's what kind of happened, is we might just have a sharking issue.
No, and I feel you on that one. I think kind of echoing some of the sentiments that you're talking about, sharking issue being one of the topics that this might cover. A lot of what we need to start asking the community, the players themselves, to start thinking and going to events a little more judiciously than they have been. You know, they kind of show up to the one that's closest or the easiest or whatever, but a lot of it has to come down to motives. Like, if the motive of the player is to shark a tournament, so they're complaining there aren't enough entrants because the pot size is not big enough, I don't know if I buy into that. Like in the same way, like if a TO complains there's not enough people going to his event because he just wants his event to succeed because it's more money in his pocket, I don't buy that either. And I think some of the challenge is going to have to come into a culture shift where we have players that are coming to the events really start building that sense of community. If people that are players that go to these events are saying we don't have enough players, well, the easiest step to remedy that is for each player to bring a new player to the event. All of a sudden, we've doubled our tournament size overnight, kind of a situation. There are things that TOs can do to incentivize it, but a lot of it's going to have to come down to a player just kind of knowing what the motivations are for the event that's taking place, whether it's someone trying to make a quick buck, whether it's a shark trying to win that prize pot, or a nefarious tournament organizer just in it to keep their shop alive off the Smash community.
Yeah.
There are a variety of different things, but on the flip side of it, there are a lot of benevolent people that are really trying to build up the community. Like you can take Zan for example. When he complains that there are too many tournaments, I take it very seriously because he's shown a track record of being for the community, and his platform is he feels there should be more major regional tournaments to supplement a lot of these locals, so that we have these iron sharpens iron situations
Exactly.
of testing our best players. So a lot of it's going to come down to the underlying motivations and how those play out, and making sure people know what those motivations are, and really kind of voicing that with the platforms that we do have in order to make sure people go into an event educated and not letting bad events continue or events continue with people with malicious intent.
Exactly. I think I do for sure. Like I mentioned earlier, like in my field report, everyone at World 8 had a lot of fun time. I was invited by friends who go to World 8, who enjoy World 8. And I enjoyed the local. I actually enjoyed the venue a lot. Like I said, it's small to my taste, right? But I enjoyed the local a lot. But I just want to call one attention to a little bit, just an attention to the local that we used to have back in Smash 4 days. I don't want to name the name because I feel like, it's something that happened, and I do feel sad for what happened. But we used to have a local in particular that used to have a huge pop bonus, like $150, and there'd only be 17 entrants. That kind of deal. So $150 for 17 to 20 entrants, that's not a pop bonus, isn't going to bring seats to the venue. That kind of deal. And I hope TOs do realize that. Like if they want to do anything with that, with that local, they should probably, like Zan said, let's work on building a regional, like from a community, like from Fire and Ice or maybe World 8 or things like that. And it is true that I do think sharking is not an issue. Like, it isn't an issue. If we do want SoCal to, even though I think the meme is a legitimate statement now, if we do want SoCal to stop sucking, then we need to understand that iron does sharpen iron, and I do think that we need to start having players who just play against each other. If I'm winning a local, then I want to go fight Master Mario or somebody on the PR. The PR is something that I look at to fight, to grow better, and then take my levels to the next stage. But if I'm just sharking a local for the money, I'm not really gaining anything but the value of cash. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying I want to get better. It's all like I said, it's all like it goes in a circle that it's really hard to explain and understand.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of different factors to consider, but again, it's in the grand scheme of things. To the original question, do we have too many locals? I guess it sort of depends. If they're surviving, they're surviving.
Yeah.
Could it be better? Yeah, a lot. There are a lot of arguments to be made that the amount of locals can be, or the way that locals are run could be altered to make the situation better, whether it's a sanctioning system or you mentioned the pot bonus. As a tournament organizer or a consultant for tournament organizers, if someone told me that they had a $150 pot bonus, the first thing I would tell them is, why don't you just not do a pot bonus and just give people 15 or 30 people in this case a free entry to the tournament, and you'll have the same exact impact for all the top players trying to come in, and you'll actually get new and mid-level players into the event for a lot cheaper. You're going to throw money into it.
Exactly. Like
allocation of resources, man.
Exactly. There's a
Lux
lot
sounds
of better
like an
things.
educated man on the subject.
Oh yeah, he's,
Hey, I used to be.
That's
the
why
basic
he's here,
nerd of
man.
The, low level, mid level, and new players. So this is my thing.
There we
Give me
go.
my soapbox.
There
I'm
we
ready.
yeah.
I think like Sedge said it best too, that we have to remember that even though we come from Smash 4, so our community has been established, like with the advent of Ultimate, we are in a way still in our infancy, because that brought like so many new players, and I mean players as in like TOs, venues, competitors to the scene. And all right, Lux came from Brawl. Okay,
He's looking to say it too. You can tell he wants to say like, "Yo, man,
it's like he
brawl."
wants to show off that he's old.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
all right. So, all right, and I mean that's a fair point. I mean our community came from Brawl. I'm sure.
Oh, look at him, dude! Look at his face.
Similar thing happened going into
Brawl.
Smash 4, and then we're experiencing it now coming into Ultimate. And with the passing of time, there are going to be a lot of these locals that we have now that might not survive, and some of them will survive. As long as they keep surviving, there shouldn't really be an issue with them being there, because it depends on what those TOs want. Like, okay, are they just running an event for their local scene? And that's important here in SoCal, because it's like Sedge mentioned, there's there's adolescents who can't drive themselves, or it's just too far for some people, even if you can't drive. And SoCal is enormous, it's huge. So like it's a problem that only a region like ours is going to have, and it's a problem that will iron itself out eventually, I think.
It is very unique, considering like we have the third largest traffic jams in the world besides Rio de Janeiro, and one more city that's not even in the US.
Do you know how
New York in our rent and in our traffic? Like, that's
do you know how bad the traffic
Nice.
is? Larry and I once drove to MSM, and it took us 2 hours to get to MSM. We got out there super late. I can't remember what time we got out. Then me and Larry drove back home to the 818, the Valley, and it only took us 25 minutes. What was a 2-hour drive from the 818 to MSM was only 25 minutes. That's how bad the traffic is here.
Yeah, but the question that I think that a lot of us are concerned about, that's attached to, like, are there too many locals? Does it affect like our spirit in terms like of our pride as a region, which is something interesting to think about. I actually personally am under the opinion that it's not the locals themselves that are like necessarily dividing us or like not giving a lot of spirit. I think the main problem is that we it's so weird to try and say it in a way that doesn't sound like demeaning or anyway, but like let's think about it this way. Like every month we have like a huge event. Like let's think about it. Like February we had Heart of Battle, which had like a bunch of different games and had a bunch of top players coming in. March we had Nimbus, which was a summit qualifier. Then we had Prime Saga. Now and then in May we took a break. Now they're working on MomoCon, and then this month we have the Mango. Like these are all kind of like majors that have like special guests, and they always have like a bunch of people coming because of like just the scope of like the 2GG events. But aside from January in SoCal Chronicles, which I do generally think was like one of the hypest times for SoCal, I think the spirit was the highest in that event. And Smash a Church, I don't think we really have too many regionals or something just for like SoCal in like a little bubble to like experience like together, because we always have like a bunch of other people there too, so it just makes it a big event. It's like, okay, well, like it's kind of hard like to hang out with everyone. But like in a small regional like Smash Church, for example, like you can feel the energy. And the same thing with SoCal Chronicles. It was like the first big event, and I think it was very smart of 2GG to make it a regional with basically only all SoCal, because it's been a long time. Smash 4 was out, and then like it started to die down because we were waiting for Ultimate, and then it comes in and it's like, yeah, like it got our excitement up, and I think we just need another event like that. I think Breakthrough 3 is the right opportunity, because you got all the Arcadian, or you got all those players that want a shot at the Arcadian, then you're gonna have those PR players that will be there as coaches, like co doubles players, etc. So I think we just gotta be patient on that topic of like SoCal Spirit personally.
Yeah, and it alludes a little bit to like, SoCal sucks, but there are things that we're trying to do better, and it does make sense for like Lex said, iron sharpens iron. So if we have more regionals, people in SoCal who are, if we're considered good but not great, or great but not considered amazing, then at least those who are great gonna get better because they fight people with their level and they eventually excel. If I'm beating my friend whose player tag is Jimmy02 every single day free, he's not going to get better fighting me. He needs to fight somebody his caliber. And I'm not going to get better fighting him. I need to fight somebody my caliber. So if SoCal isn't generally great, yeah, it's good to have regionals where we can actually start getting better, and it promotes us to get better, because now I'm starting to look at, can I beat a player like S2H? Can I beat a player like Charlie? Or can I beat a player like Shine or Muffin from Mars, or all that jazz? Like that grows regions to be bigger. Perhaps the bigger scope of the problem is we just don't have regionals.
I want to add one more comment related to what you guys are just talking about before we wrap up, because I think we're reaching the upper limit of what we want our podcast length to be. But it's interesting that we're talking about breakthrough right now, and maybe this is a potential topic for the next podcast. Because we're talking about growing the spirit, and like this event is meant for unranked players, and no ranked players will be allowed to attend, but
unless it's dubs.
It's still early in the ultimate meta, and there's a lot of previously ranked players previously ranked in other games who are unranked in this game who will be allowed to enter into breakthrough. So the question is, and I know I have personally like friends in the community who believe it is actually too early to be having Arcadians at this point. So that's just a question to keep in mind, possibly a topic for next time.
Yeah, tea for another day, basically. I think it's okay if we have an Arcadian, like it's the second PR season.
I think it's fine. It's just people need to understand, like, okay, well, there's like some players who are actually like broken that are in the bracket because it's early.
Yeah, like if you think about it, like Slayers, Tyrant, two big names already right there that are not PR'd, who can actually maybe enter. I'm pretty sure Champ knows, like, hey, I know who these player tags are. I'm gonna have to tell him, like, yo, man, no PR plays, but you guys can't do dubs, because I know usually like there is PR dubs. Usually that's the case. I don't know if there is PR dubs this breakthrough, but I know PR dubs is usually the case. And Arcadian, like, singles is Arcadian only. Rich Brown is another player who has not been PR'd, and he could probably come in, but it's all that general stuff. I think what my closing statement is, looking at how I loved World 8 as a local, I love the feeling of community, people coming together. My friend Suga, who beat Arrow, brought us to the local, and when he was able to win World 8, right? And Arrow kind of reclaimed a little bit of pride, like, okay, I can finally be, I couldn't beat this Yoshi main, but like, I can beat his spot. What I'm interested in seeing is what FD did with Master Mario, was how they were able to get, Master Mario was able to become a player of a caliber, and then evolve to move himself to start going to locals and establish local like Fire and Dice, take out players there like Zan and a couple of other, just to name a few, and then get PR'd. That's what I'm really interested to see, is how locals can also establish players. And if they are looking to establish players, when a local venue sponsors a player, that's a really good sign to me, because that level player now has a sponsor that's willing to help them travel or to go to another local, and now it becomes a battle of like what it used to be, like Fire and Dice versus FD. Can Master Mario get into top 3? And lo and behold, he did, and he made a name for himself. So that's what I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see that, but I'm also hoping that happens. I'm curious to see, hey, maybe World 8. I mean, World 8's actually having like their own little what's it called? We just had it, like their own little Smash League. So I'm curious to see who wins that, and if the winner of that is now going to have more incentive to, like, okay, I won the World 8 Smash League, fine, let's do this. Let me try going to another established local. Yeah, let's take it up a notch, because now World 8's behind my back, and that's what I really want to see. And I hope TOs who do have locals every day do that. And if you guys are wondering where World 8 is, it's a weekly on a Thursday. Check out SoCal Smash on the Net. It has more information there for you guys.
Yeah, I think that.
I'm waiting for that.
Yeah,
that was solid.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for
I think
somebody
that's the
to
show,
say
everyone.
something. I'm waiting for someone to say something, and I'm like, why is
Yeah,
everyone
free
quiet?
buy one, get one free special.
of our show. There you go.
Yeah, I
Well-
was waiting for someone else's closing statements.
Closing statement.
I
Kiyo's
said
doing
everything
buy
I
one,
wanted to
get
say
one
about
free,
that
bring your friends. Buy one, get one free. Bring your friends. Recruit people. Make a community. Do it grassroots with the players. That's
Yeah.
my closing statement.
That's
Period.
and like just one more
Done.
thing I want to say. The one thing that I like, I don't think I'm the greatest, and I know a lot of us had different starts. But this goes well for commentators. Like some of us came from different locals that didn't have a lot of viewerships, and we were able to grind ourselves and polish ourselves at that local, and then eventually take our abilities to a bigger local, and then our abilities to a regional, then our abilities to a major, to 2GG majors, and then our abilities to things like Smash Factor or another MMOCon and other events like that. So I think those kinds of locals with streams are really important because they allow us to polish or open up the doors to somebody who wants to start, a Kickstarter, so to say. Alrighty, guys. Well, this has been the technically official episode 1 of the Smash Talk podcast. The official episode.
The other episode was a pilot.
yeah, the episode was a
There you
pilot.
go.
We had to make some changes on that. So this is official.
Yeah,
Yeah, but our option got picked up, so we're in the money, boys. We did it.
Oh my god. All right. Well, before I go, I want to give another quick ad for those of you guys watching. Of course, the kid, the goat, and the mango, I totally said this in the wrong way, but is happening this weekend. Sign up now, guys. It's super important because we are running. I mean, literally just sign up now if you want to save money. If you want to go ahead as a spectator, don't worry about it. But of course, if you're looking to get a hotel room, rooms are limited. I don't know if they're there, if they're not. So please, 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 if you want to go, the kid, the goat, the mango happens this weekend, June 8th through 9th. It's going to be super hype. Wizrobe, just won Smash and Splash, so it's really interesting to see, his career going on now. Really great. He's got
through these ads.
yeah. Yeah. It's happening this weekend. Let's bring it back to us, guys. Oh my god, I totally did it wrong. There we are. Okay, guys. My name has been Vance. You guys can follow me here at my little, where did I put it? It's like right here. Right here, Vance_EXE. And of course, the player next to me is on my left.
Which one is it? Which one is next to you?
Lux is next
where's
to
my-
you.
It's Lux.
Lux is next to you.
Oh yeah, it's CT Lux on the microphone for you guys. Catch me at something. Thank you so much for tuning in. And who's next on the roll call? I think too.
And of
Above
course,
me, Edmund.
of course,
Above
I'm
me,
right
it's
above you.
Edmund.
My name
He's
is
always above me.
Edmund. Twitter right here. Be sure to give me a follow as well as the rest of the guys here because we're all SoCal commentators and we're on this channel actually several times a week. We're usually the voices that you guys hear and you just don't know it because you very rarely see our face. We're including at the 2GG like majors and stuff, and stuff. So yeah, and of course the last but certainly not
the
least
cutest
final
one
member.
of the group.
All right, I'm Sedge. I'm trying to. My name is. Well, anyways, you can follow me at Sedgehog, and yeah, the only thing I have to say is that I'll be at MSM. I'll probably be on commentary around Winners Quarters or so. After I'm done running a pool there. If you happen to be there at MSM in person, then I'll be one of the people running the pools there. Yes, there are pools at a local. It's called MSM. Anyways, but other than that, thanks guys so much for watching, and I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I don't know what our plan is right now because next week's the mango, so
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna have an episode on there.
Follow.
But definitely the
yeah.
week after. Yeah.
Follow us on our
be
Twitters.
sure, yeah, follow us on our Twitters and be sure to follow the 2G Gaming channel so you know when we go live. Okay.